Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Your Vibes Podcast. Everybody's got a vibe and a story to tell. Here's this one. I hope you enjoy. This episode is brought to you by Mulberry Mill. Mulberry Mill is a 100,000 square foot warehouse located in the heart of downtown Dickson and is Dickson's only co-working space. Current tenants include 22 private offices, the station event venue, and the Tennessee Artesian Market. Future developments include a 10,000 square foot event space, an office space expansion, and custom build to suite tenant spaces ranging from 100 square feet to 10,000 square feet. If you would like to join the Mulberry Mill family of small business owners, remote workers, artists, and entrepreneurs, please contact Andy Truman at info@mulberrymilldixon.com or shoot her a text at 336-693-4311. And we're going, and we're live. We're going hot, coming in hot with the man himself, Mr. Rick. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How are you today?
So if you look, I know the sun's shining through, but I don't know, what way did you come in?
From 48.
So you came this way? Did
Yeah.
you see the...
I just see it. It's actually wrapped around the foot. And right when I was passing, a pedestrian or hitchhiker, whoever it was over by it, just looking at it. But it just happened. I saw your post as I was pulling off the exit ramp.
No,
That's so weird.
I had gone to the store to get some beer, and I came back, and there's this guy with his flashers on carrying balloons. I was like, oh, maybe they, flew out of his truck and he caught him or something. They got wrapped around some trees, and then I look over, and he's tying it around the foot of the deer.
Yeah, that's very weird, man.
And then he walked off and stepped back and took a picture of it, and then just got back in his car and left. So
It wasn't the FedEx guy? Like in the picture I saw.
No, that was just driving by. I was trying to catch it in between cars,
Gotcha.
and I didn't even really know what was going on, and it's just sitting there. The balloons are just blowing in the breeze.
Yeah, the sun just disappeared at the right time. Right now.
God, that is a big deer too, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he hit it or not, because I didn't notice if it was there when I went to the store or not, but definitely is there now with 3 balloons just blowing in the breeze. Oh, poor deer.
Yeah, poor guy.
I guess probably in a better place now, though.
You just
No better way to even sit off with some balloons on the side of a highway.
Had to be a big truck.
That's it.
I've
Yeah,
been
had
in
to
my
be.
life and didn't do anything in them.
Yeah, and we were just talking too about your wife and daughter coming to bingo this weekend and just totally dominating the whole
Yes,
scene, right?
They racked up first 4 games.
That is what I'm talking about.
Sitting out in the car, I kept getting texts. Like, we just won. I'm like, seriously? No. Again, seriously? All right, leave. You're wearing my shirt, please. Give somebody else a chance.
No, see, wearing your shirt, that means, you associate with winners, right?
Oh, exactly.
That's it, yeah.
Straight to a Powerball ticket.
See? Did you go do that?
We did. We got one. I guess the drawing is it was probably last night. I might be a winner right now.
Who
because I
knows?
think
You
it's
could
Sunday
be a
and Wednesday, right?
millionaire and not even know it. I'm
We'll
sitting
find
here
out.
with a millionaire. That's awesome. Well, I've got Rick in here today, and he's a super good dude. When did we first cross paths? I can't remember. Did you sponsor bingo? Did you come to, or not? Did you sponsor trivia? Or?
Tia's networking.
That's what it was. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. She had her little after hours party, and
Yeah.
y'all were there and hanging out. We
A lot
got
of
to
realtors
chatting.
there. Met some business owners. Met you.
Yeah.
The one wheel sparked the conversation.
It did. It always does.
It's my dream.
It's been such a good investment because if we don't have anything else to talk about, we can just talk about the one wheel.
Exactly.
And I did trivia last week, and there was a group of younger people out of Fairview. They had gotten pretty well buzzed during trivia, and one of them asked me if you could write it, and I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. So I brought it out in the alley in the back, and all their friends go back there, girls and guys and everybody. And it ends up being just like a ride party. Everybody got on it. Yeah, a bunch of drunk people. But there was one dude who was a super athlete, seemingly, but it took him like maybe 5 minutes to get used to it, and then he was just booking it up and down. It took me probably 2 days to get comfortable with
Anybody
it.
holding his hands and guiding him?
I did right off the bat, and he was like, I think I got it. And I was like, okay,
Wow.
sure, have at it, buddy. I hope you've got good insurance. And he did. He fell a couple times, but that's what you get it for. I mean, as soon as I got it, I scratched it up just because I knew I was going to. And it's,
Of course.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. You got to go ahead and get it out of the way.
Yeah, it's been on my wish list for a few years. Like I said, when I get down to my goal weight, that's the first thing I'm going to buy.
Cool.
A big guy like me, I could ride a ripstick, but I haven't tried a one wheel. And a lot of people are like, "Wow, how can you do a ripstick?" You know?
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to see that too.
Yeah, I
Enjoying
keep it in
the
back of
crew.
my trunk usually.
Cool.
Never know if I break down. I'm not walking. Ripstick.
Here we go.
Yep.
Down the side of the road. Yeah, you could hit a deer on that ripstick, maybe do a little damage.
I mean, a guy like me might actually take it out.
That's so funny. Cool. So, I guess we could just kind of talk a little bit about, where you came from and how you kind of wound up in Dickson, and we'll just,
That's a long
I
one.
know it is a little bit. And while you kind of get started, I'm going to turn the lights on in here.
Sure.
'Cause it's kind of dark.
So, where I come from. So, I'm a Yankee, or a damn Yankee, I've been told. Long Island, New York. It's one of the most expensive places to live, almost like living out in L.A. And, actually, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Parents decided they didn't want to raise me in a city, so they moved out to the suburbs, which is Long Island, going out east. Lived with some family for a few years, went to high school there, graduated high school there. Didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so went to college. College is big for my family. My family, nobody really went to college except for me and my sister. Sister's 10 years older than me. She's been in the Army 20 years now. But that was my first exposure to trying something new, wanting to be different. So I went to college, general studies. First I went in for business management. Couldn't pass accounting because the guy was monotone and I was falling asleep in class. And switched to music because I wanted the easy way out. I played guitar, played drums, played piano. Figured music would be easy. Then it came out to sight singing and reading music and having to do a recital for the whole class, which was like Beethoven, Mozart, Bach. And that was not music that interested me. So I dropped out at 58 credits for an associate's.
Whoa.
When I run into problems or don't know what I should do, I run. So picked up and left, went to Pennsylvania and the Poconos, which is 2 hours from Long Island. Parents had entertained me. They were retiring at that time and said, "Hey, do you want to stay in Long Island? Do you want to try to live here?" No, thank you. Property taxes there are $14,000 a year.
Oh, my God.
That's expensive, but at the same time, the rate of pay in Long Island is expensive. They pay you high. For instance, my dad was a elementary school janitor pushing a broom, bringing in almost $85,000 a year.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but $85,000 doesn't put food on the table. It's very expensive there. So I was like, no, let's go to Pennsylvania. We went to a tourist area, ski resorts and stuff. I got into law enforcement there, worked law enforcement for 2 years as a cop. Right around the time things started turning for cops, like people started reviewing law enforcement differently. Like 2007 to 2009 was when I was there. And again, left, went to Florida because I didn't like the Poconos anymore. I didn't like law enforcement. I didn't like the politics of it. Florida, Orlando area, started with AAA, which is, if you know, an insurance company that offers roadside assistance. I was the guy you talk to when you break down on the side of the road and then you get mad at because I don't know where you are because you're in a different state, different highway I've ever been on, That job was a nightmare.
I can imagine.
I'd had to take a break from the phone, go to the bathroom, pull myself together, wash my face, and tell myself, man, why am I working here?
Yeah.
It's to pay the bills, I had just had my first kid. Did that for about 6 months. My wife also worked in the call center. She was a few positions above me. And one day they said to my wife, "Hey, if you guys go to Nashville, we'll promote both of you, you and your husband, and you guys will be in charge of the call center." And we didn't like Orlando. She's from Orlando, but she wanted to change.
So y'all were married and working together?
No. Okay. So we were together for 8 years.
Maybe not married, but y'all were together?
We were together already probably 4 years before we moved here.
Okay.
We didn't get married until after we moved here. And that's a different story. Nobody even knows we're married, to be honest with you. Like our families, we're not close to our families. But they told us if we come to Nashville, we'll give you a new opportunity. Neither of us have been to Tennessee. We just said yes, knew we wanted to leave Orlando. Tourist area, lots of traffic, I-4 is just bad. And I was like, sure, let's go to Tennessee. Figured we'd do it online. Didn't come here to look at the apartment or the house we were renting. Just said, Donaldson sounds nice. Looked at the crime rate maps, and there was not really much crime. We just knew stay away from Antioch area. And I'm not trying to say anything about Antioch, but Antioch was a red zone at the time. So we get here, we unpack, and we're like, let's go see the city. Mind you, city to me, I didn't think anything like New York. I didn't think anything like Orlando or Miami. I thought I was coming to Nashville, which is going to be nothing but ranches and cattle land.
Oh, boy.
So when I saw downtown, I was very confused. I was like, what the hell did I do?
This is not what I expected.
No, this is not what I signed up for. I didn't want to go to another metro area. So I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Here we go again.
Correct.
Yeah.
However, it was a different vibe. We walked down Broadway, and people talk to you. They respond to you. They see how you're doing, ask you where you're from. They really nice, you know. Where I come from in New York, if you come up to me and you're trying to ask for the time, before you can even get to me, I'm already brushing you off because I think you're trying to run a scam on me. You know, I'm like, get the heck away from me. Like, I already know this.
Sure.
People that stick their hand out as they're approaching you, no, get away.
You ain't taking my watch.
Correct. Well, not even that, but you already know they want to talk to you. Say, hey, what's up, man? And then they ask you for money or something.
Sure.
So anyway, a different vibe. Everybody was nice here. I was like, all right, you know, I don't have to really watch myself. We had kids at the time where they were 1 and 4.
Oh, wow.
And at like 10 p.m. at night, I felt safe walking down Broadway with my family. In New York, you don't really do that because all the alleys and stuff, you see the bums in the alley or people with knives trying to stick you up and things like that. This is the first city that it was actually chill. And it was entertaining to be out at night and safe and walking and taking it in. So anywho, we're at this call center. We're running it. About 4 or 5 months in, I bought a new car. I needed a key made. I wanted a spare key because I have one, but I wanted another one. And a contractor for AAA, First Choice Locksmith, came out, made me the key. He asked me if I worked for AAA. I said, yeah, and told him about where I came from, why I'm here. And he said that he was looking for help, that it's hard to find people. This is in 2015. I said, what do you mean it's hard to find people? He says, well, everybody that comes for an interview, like nobody wants to work. For instance, the guy I had today said he was in the interview because his wife and his mother-in-law said he had to get a job. And that's when I asked him, why does he want a job? That's what he told me. So I was like, geez. I was like, are you teaching these guys like how to be a locksmith? Or is it just the roadside? Because roadside assistance is changing tires, jump starts, fuel delivery on the side of the highway, you know. And he was like, no, whoever works will, you know, learn the trade of locksmithing as well. Car keys, breaking into cars and houses. And I was like, man, if you hire me, I'll start Monday. Never talked to my wife about it. I wasn't even looking for a job. Like, I had a cushy job at AAA, just sitting there, had weekends off, was there from like only 9 to 1, and didn't really do anything. Because in AAA, all you had to do is sit on the phone, talk to the tow drivers. Like, I jumped up to just talking to tow drivers instead of people that were yelling at me, you know? So it was very chill. He's like, yeah, well, let me talk to the boss, and I'll get back to you. Leave me your information. That same day after he made me a key, my vehicle didn't start later on when my wife was going to work at AAA. So I called AAA again to come give us a jump start. Nobody in my community wanted to give me a jump start. They weren't that nice, which is very weird to me as well. Like, everybody's nice here, but they don't want to help you jump your car, you know? So I called, and I saw a service vehicle, AAA service vehicle, pull up again, and it said First Choice Locksmith again on it. But this time it was a lady. And I was like, oh, you work for First Choice? I just talked to Bill earlier, you know, like, I might be working with you guys. She goes, oh, you're the guy he told me to, like, you're interested in the job? I said, wait a second, are you the boss? She goes, yeah, that's my husband. We own the company.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, yeah, I'm really interested. And she's like, you're hired. Never had an interview. Nothing.
Right on the side of the road.
You know, just on the side of the road. Well, in my apartment community. But
sure.
She just knew that I was a genuine guy, and she liked me. We had a good conversation, and that's how I started into the locksmithing.
Wow.
Busted my butt with them for 5 years. Eventually was doing 87 to 103 hours a week with them.
Dang.
Like, not on the road all the time,
Sure.
but I was grateful enough to be able to go home and watch the other guys. I was a general manager for them. And just always on call, though. Like, I have to stare at a computer, seeing where all these guys are around town, if they're being quick enough, if they're making it to the next calls. So
wow.
I would do this from 6 in the morning to 11 p.m. at night, nonstop. Also taking the phone calls from them, also taking the phone calls for the private business. And I was just like, there's got to be something better, you know? Like, in my mind, I've always wanted to be a business owner, an entrepreneur, something. Like, not making other people's pockets bigger, you know? So the tornado came through. It missed us by about a block or two, a quarter mile, half a mile. And that's when I was like, you know what? Maybe we should go to the actual country, you know, like somewhere where I can build a
where there
storm
are
shelter.
actually ranches and cows.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't have to go too far, like probably within an hour of Nashville. Yeah. And started looking, and we thought we were going to go to like Pegram or Kingston Springs, which seemed like far away from Donaldson. Wow, driving around with the real estate agent. Eventually he's like, well, you know what, let's go out to Charlotte. And in my mind, I'm like, Charlotte? Like, North Carolina? They didn't know we're staying in state, right? And my wife's like, oh, no, let's just go to Charlotte. I'm like, there's a Charlotte here? So we take the trip. Felt so far, but we wound up in Charlotte. a brand new spec home. Nobody's ever lived in it. Way under budget. Had 2 acres, somewhere I can shoot guns and nobody's going to bother me.
Right.
Outside of the city. And how could you not say no to something brand new that's within an hour of Nashville? I still had a job with them. I didn't quit. I was commuting back and forth. So that's how we ended up in Charlotte, and commuted back and forth for about 4 or 5 months. On the first day when we closed on our house, we had a few people come out and give us bids on the property for our driveway because we have a steep gravel driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted it like concrete, like so we can get up it easier. Had a few people give us bids. Obviously, we go with the lowest bid. The guy ends up burning us, takes our deposit, never see him again. We sue him, turns into death threats to my wife, to my kids.
Golly.
I was working in Nashville, physically having to be there from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m., 4 days a week. And in the middle of the night, he's saying he's outside my window watching my wife, saying he's going to wear her skin as a suit,
Whoa.
He's going to use my 5-year-old as a condom, like this kind of stuff.
Whoa.
So right then and there, I was like, I can't be this far from my family.
Sure.
So what I do, I quit that job, said, I'm going to start a locksmith company in Dickson. I know there's not really any competitors, just one main guy, I hear that people would like other options in the county. So we went for it, man. And that was in February 2020. And it took months for that phone to ring. Being a new guy. So just living off credit cards, hoping that phone will ring. I remember when I used to be excited for doing 1 call a week or two customers a week. And I was excited. I'm like, yes, it's taking off, And now, still not as busy as it is like for a Nashville company. Like in Nashville, the company I was a general manager for, we service 60 to 90 people a day.
Golly.
Here, a really busy day for me is 6 people.
Okay.
I think 6 or 7 is my record right now. How many people in one day?
Cool.
On average, like 3 people a day. So I have a lot of space between my calls,
Sure.
But as long as I don't have employees and it's just me working, like it's profitable for me. Like I can
No
pay my
real
bills.
overhead at all.
Yeah, no overhead. I didn't want to get a building. I didn't want a shop where people come and do key copies. Like
Right.
I wanted to create my own niche, and my niche is car keys, excuse me. So I like to make my money in minutes or seconds, Like I
Sure.
pull up on a call, do what I do. I'm a big guy. I don't want to sweat. I don't want to get down on my knees. Like I just want to be gone and be like, wow, I just made some decent money really quick,
Mm-hmm.
Became good at what I do and pick locks really good, and car key seems to be where it's at. And the first few months when I was open, I wasn't offering car keys, and that's where my company name comes out from. It's Lockout Pros. And yes, I was cocky with the name because I feel like I'm a pro. I can get into anything.
Sure.
But at first, we only offered residential lockouts, vehicle lockouts, semi-lockouts, and rekeying, like changing your locks on your doors. When people visit my Google listing, nobody goes to the website to see the services that I offer. They just call when they see somebody. And I would say 8 out of 10 calls, people were asking, hey, do you guys do car keys? And I'm so excited that the phone is ringing, and then just to be let down that they want something that I don't offer.
Sure.
So after months of hearing that, I was like, all right, I got to take some money out, take some equipment out. Locksmith equipment's not cheap. I'm close to $10,000 just for like the budget stuff, And I jumped into that, and as soon as I did that, like that's when it took off.
Boom, boom, boom.
And that
boom,
was
boom.
probably like April. April is when I bit the bullet, and it just changed my life,
That's awesome.
And that's when I met most of these business owners, because a lot of my customers, the people that are in our network and in our circle, are people that have used me already, and then I've just known them, And I've never been in a place where other business owners are so supportive, where the community is so supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, this was about a month ago. Somebody was locked out in that parking lot over by Katie's, across from back alley. And she's calling me. She says, hey, I'm here in town for a soccer game with my kid. We're eating at back alley, and I'm locked out in my car. And then I hear her, get off the phone and talking to somebody. No, I got somebody on the phone. Turns out it's Tom Costa from Katie saying, hey, you're locked out. I got a guy. And he was calling me on the other phone at the same time that they're calling. So, as I'm talking to her, I see Tom Costa come through on the caller ID, and I ignore him. And she's like, no, that's exactly who we're talking to, Lockout Pros. But something like that, I got somebody that's got my back. I'm always being referred by somebody, and I'm super grateful for that, because if it's not for the community, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Sure.
Customer service goes a long way. I make sure that I do the best that I can. We offer free lockouts for kids locked in vehicles, pets locked in vehicles. We give discounts to hometown heroes, which are our firefighters, law enforcement, military, active or retired, school teachers, EMS workers, healthcare workers, anybody that helps out others, I'm giving
Sure.
a discount to, just saying thank you. You know what I mean? A lot of times when I go unlock a car, people are like, "Oh, you saved my life." So essentially, I save lives for a living too.
Absolutely.
And that's
no,
what
I mean,
tell
hell,
people.
you're in a tight spot when you can't get into where you need to get into or go somewhere you need to go. And you're absolutely right about the community too. And like this community, people, I don't want to say they're hesitant, but like once they get out here and start getting involved, like Rick, you hustle like a son of a bitch. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's kind of who we all roll with is people who do what they want to do, how hard they want to do it, and then keep going harder once it kind of gets traction. And so, this community is extremely supportive. And I've always said it as well too, is that if you're an entrepreneur and you want to have like a testing ground somewhere, Dickson is a great spot to do it, especially the number one way that you or anybody can gain traction is the networking scene. I mean, and there's several networking opportunities and boards or associations or things that you can get involved with. Once you get involved with one, you're going to get involved with another or have an opportunity to go to some sort of consistent gathering, whether it be a networking thing or not. There's a really good schedule with a good core group of people that follow these things around Dickson, and you just start. It is a small town, quote unquote. I mean, there's 56,000 people here, 15,000 within the city limits. So you're bound to run into, especially as a business owner,
Correct.
the same people over and over and over. And what's the number one thing in sales? It's not how good your pitch is. It's not necessarily how, your product's obviously got to be good to keep the business, and your service does as well too. It's not even necessarily, your quote unquote marketing material. It's just attention in general.
Yeah.
Like it's just straight up attention from all different aspects, whether it be Facebook or showing up at a networking thing or being consistent about going to a certain group of people or starting your own thing or whatever it may be. And then you provide a good product and a good service and you're a good person. People in Dickson will lock down on you and a group of people and continue the business going, and then you can kind of just grow it from there. I mean, this has just been an extremely pleasant experience for me, as well too, is just, being in the insurance industry that is now kind of, morphed into create your own environment is what I kind of live by. It's like,
absolutely.
I do commercial insurance. Like that's, it's not even really my 9 to 5. It's just life. Like everybody needs it. It's a necessity. I can speak the language. And then, I've been doing it for 8 years, and you ultimately realize once you talk to other people and you get into the business, you've got to kind of niche in something in order to succeed. And I've always loved entertaining people and going out and having a good time. And hospitality is kind of where it's at, and the Dickson hospitality scene is growing significantly. And there's new scenes, new venues, new restaurants, new bars, everything coming into town. So it's just broadening that opportunity. But it also kind of melds well with this entertainment company that I've started as well too, is that it's just like everything kind of feeds each other. You know what I mean? I mean,
Exactly.
and then you've talked about, I know that we've talked about you getting into buying rental houses or wholesaling or whatever it may be, and that would feed directly into what you've got going on.
Yeah. So I've actually taken a step in that
Oh, good for you.
direction.
Cool.
I did meet with a mutual friend, and she had some words of wisdom.
Cool.
And that's where I'm headed towards. Like, I just started reading the books. Like, anytime you go towards something, you need to learn everything you can about it before you jump in. And like, I've started reading the books. I've started doing the research. Like, my background before the locksmithing and stuff, I was a brand identity person. I went to college for graphic and web design. So everything that I do, all my promotion material, my website and everything is me. I know how to make companies look good. I make them look legit. So I've already got the business cards. I got the website up and going.
Cool.
Even though I'm not doing anything yet, but when I'm ready to go, like, and I go get my first house or do my first flip or do something, it looks like it's a company that's been around for a while.
Sure.
So hopefully here, I'm hoping by the new year, I'll jump into my first investment.
Cool.
But that's the direction I see myself going into is real estate investment. That's my next business, as well as the locksmithing. I've grown the locksmithing to a point that it's sustainable. We've went cash flow positive in the first few months of actually getting a phone call within our first, it's been 9 months and I've been cash flow positive for about 3 or 4 months now.
Cool.
So last month was our biggest month yet. Huge goals we crushed. I told my wife to leave her job. She was working at Mirror Lake Recovery Center as a manager there, working 100 hours a week there as well. She was miserable. And I said, you don't have to make somebody else rich. You can sit with me. Yeah, it looks like I sit at home all day, but I'm making the money to pay our bills.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn to trade with me, and if anything ever happens to me, one, I'm overweight, I can have a heart attack or a stroke, or if this COVID thing ever gets to me, and most of the people that have complications are obese. I'm morbidly obese. So I wanted to teach her that if I die or something happens to me, you and the kids need to survive on something. And I'm going to leave you this business. I'm going to leave you this trade. And I have contacts in Nashville for her, that will help her if anything ever happened. But she jumped into it, said, you know what, you're right, let's do it. Just dropped everything, put in her 2 weeks, started with me, and she's now with me probably 6 weeks on the road, riding with me to every person, every customer. And she's doing stuff in 6 weeks that it took me years to learn how to do.
Wow.
Like, girls just comprehend better than men, Like, we just think we know it all, but they actually sit there and take time to actually
Very
understand
meticulous about it.
Yeah. So she's picking locks. She's already making keys on her own, Like, it's
That's
very
what I'm
impressive.
talking about.
She's
She's
killing
super
it.
sweet too, man.
She is.
She's super sweet. She's a hell of a bingo player.
Yeah, I don't know about. I mean, she likes the old
If
people
push
stuff.
comes to shove, man, you just send her to the bingo hall and
she'll rack up.
she'll rake it in.
Yeah. Without her, I wouldn't be, where I am today. Because when I met her in 2010, and we started dating.
Okay.
I come from a family with no money. They don't know the value of a dollar. They steal from people. They don't earn their money. So when I met my wife, she goes, I was still living at home. I was 24 years old. Coming from Long Island, it's not uncommon for you to live at home until you're 30. People get married and then move into their parents' basement with their wife and start their life there because you can't afford a house.
Wow.
So for me, at 24 years old, when we moved to Florida, I was still living with my parents in their home. And when I met Tennille, she's like, why are you still living at home? I was like, why not? Like, isn't that what you do? She goes, no, I left home at 18. So, anywho, so she is the one that made me more into a man and said, this is what you have to do. You have to work hard, And to be honest, like, when I met her, I wasn't a hard worker. Like, everything was handed to me. Lived most of my young adult life unemployed, My parents just gave me money to go hang out with friends. I'll work jobs for a year or two, not take it seriously, The only thing I've ever had, though, is somewhat of a work ethic. Like, since I was 14 was my first job. I'm 36 now. I've called out maybe a half dozen times since I was 16.
Yeah.
And even with the job that I was doing, 87 to 103 hours a week, I was there 5 years, and I called out once.
Wow.
And it was because I found out my mom got arrested, and I called out a day before. Like, I didn't call the morning of, I was like, hey, listen, this is what's going on with my mom. I have some drama I have to deal with, and I don't know how to process that. So tomorrow I'm going to need all of us, and it's going to be a bad day for everybody. But she's taught me to be responsible. She's always been saying, hey, you need to figure out how to make money on your own, bet on yourself. Meanwhile, she's telling me this, but she never bet on herself. She's also a hard worker, very hard worker. Has had a constant job since she was 14, 15, And it took until coming to Dickson to become serious. I've tried other businesses. I've tried other companies. This is probably my 6th or 7th venture. This is the only one that ever made money, but this is also the only one that I'm actually passionate about.
Cool.
I get instant gratification when I unlock a car and I'm helping somebody or doing something that somebody else can't. You know what I mean?
You get that dopamine drip, man. I mean, and you're helping somebody. I mean, there's the saying, help as many people get what they want, and ultimately you'll get everything that you want. And
yeah, that's very true.
It is, and it's not. You could eventually, and you probably will eventually. I mean, you've inspired me, but get to one of these points of being this, motivational type thing, and you can say, here's where I started, and I've grown this business, whatever it may be. But like, people, you can't just, not you that you're doing it, but it's not just a simple lock service. Like, people are in a fucking tight spot, man. Yeah. And like, you're absolutely right about the competition and about coming to Dickson is like, right now, right now is the best time to jump off that cliff and do what you're passionate about, especially in this small town. Bigger towns, there's so much competition. Like I left this agency, so my in-laws own it, and my wife works here. Mm-hmm. I left in 2018, quit, and went to a huge 125 employee firm, the biggest independent insurance agency in the Southeast.
Okay.
Just said, all right, I'm doing pretty well here. Let's just see what kind of man I am. Mm-hmm. I'm pussy. I am a pussy. I'm telling you what, man, I was not. It was an experience that was necessary in the evolution of my professional life. It was absolutely necessary, and I'll never take it back. And I'm extremely grateful for it because it kind of, once you know what you don't want, you know even more what you want.
Correct.
You know, I mean, it's for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction type thing. Great agency, great producers, great staff, great bosses. Like those guys over there are legit. Very legitimately run insurance company, and so is this one as well too. It's just on a smaller scale. But I was living in Dickson. Mm-hmm. All of my business was coming from Middle Tennessee to East Tennessee. You know, it was not out in this area really. And as you well know, in order to build relationships to pick up, you know, decent size accounts, you can't just call somebody and say, "Hey, let me do this for you."
Of course.
You've gotta put in the hours. You gotta go get a drink. You gotta take them to dinner. You gotta go to the networking stuff. You've gotta draw attention to yourself. Mm-hmm. And having 2 kids and married as well too, it was just not one of those. You know, I can't go get drinks with this client or prospect right after work because I got to get home and I got to take care of family stuff as well too, and that's always been the most important thing to me. Debatably, to me it is. It sometimes I do get a little distracted and have to be roped back in by my lovely wife, but I worked there for almost a year to the day, and it got to the point to where I pretty much hit a real deep state of depression because it was like, what am I doing with my life? Yeah. You know, I mean, like you were saying, you go into the bathroom, you know, and putting water on your face. I was the same way. I was just like, man, you know, and you wake up and the sheets feel like lead. You're just like, oh, absolutely. God bless America. Like, what am I doing? You know, I've got all these phone calls to make today, and I've got so many people telling me no, which I'm so used to, but it was just like I didn't feel any hope after the day. There was no hope. Like, okay, you know, there's no traction. There's nothing. Just, you know, it's obviously ultimately falls on my shoulders. I'm not putting blame on anybody. There's no outside circumstances that, you know, that I'm blaming anything on at all because it was my choice to go and it was also my choice to leave. But coming to a small town, to try to start and grow your business while the dollars may not be, you know, significantly high at the moment, at least you can build a foundation. You know, you can mess up a time or two and it's okay, and you just keep coming around and you keep showing your face, and you just continue to build that business. And then once you kind of get in with the business owners here, you quickly find out that nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, and even you just keep faking it, really. And I was reading something the other day too that was the imposter syndrome, and I took a liking to that because they were saying that there's going to be several points in your development as a business owner or as an entrepreneur or somebody that's trying to make a change in their life where you don't feel like yourself. You know, you're doing these things that you haven't always done, and things are happening to you that haven't always happened, and you get into this state of mind of like, is this even real? You know, is this what kind of reality am I living in at this point in time? And you know, it's at that point where you either accept it that life, is happening for you all the time, or you're like, oh shit, this is more than I've ever had to deal with, and you kind of close off a little bit, and things maybe, there's an ebb and a flow to the whole thing. But the great thing about this county is if you show up and you're a good person and you want to help everybody, and it's not all about the money. Like, that's a big thing that was a big shift for me, is like, you can do these affirmations, and you can wake up, and you can think all these positive things, and you can, get your vibe about yourself. But if you solely base everything off of the money, you're never going to be A, happy, or B, reach your fullest potential at all. I do more stuff for free around here than I do for money for the most part, or have, until things kind of started taking traction. And I'll still continue to do that. I'll give, like, I've got this job and it pays the bills and it does well, and this is kind of a side thing as well. So I'm not, I bumped into somebody at bingo the other day, last Sunday. I had mentioned I DJ'd a party till 1 o'clock in the morning the night before, and I said, I'm sorry if I sound and look like a train wreck. But after that, there was a bride and her mother sitting there, and we're like, hey, we heard you DJ'd. And so I picked up a job right there at Pumphrey's, I mean, it's just one of those things. The universe always is boding in your favor, whether you think it or not. It was a huge mindset change to get out of that state of depression that I was in. Was like, all right, instead of saying I have to do this stuff today, you shift it to I get to do this stuff today, no matter how shitty it is. And then if something happens, instead of saying it happened to me, you say it happened for me. And that just changes your whole mindset about things, and just really shines that light on, something that could really be perceived as a real shitty situation.
Yeah. I mean, everything you just said, a few points there relate to me as well. Like, for one, way before you said that things are tight for people here, money-wise, One of the biggest things I wanted to do is be affordable. I call it Nashville money, but I told my wife, people here don't have Nashville money. And I don't mean that to be insulting, because there's plenty of people here that have that money.
Right.
But I wanted to be fair. I also like to say, hey, if you can find somebody that can beat my price, I'll beat them as well. Like, I'm not going to let anybody outbeat me, especially being a new guy. It's important that I get all that business, that people know I'm affordable. That's why I do so many things for free. You know what I mean? And biggest thing I love about my job is everything's a new challenge. It's not the same every day. Every lock that I pick is different. Sometimes I go out to a job and I tell you that I'm going to do it, or I'm going to try my best to do it. And if I don't do it, I don't charge you. Even if I was there 2 hours. Any other locksmith, it's $70 right off the bat just to show up.
Wow. I'll
sit there and I'll struggle and curse under my breath and tell myself that I'm such a failure. But I like to fail. If I don't fail, I'm never going to get better. I don't want to go to every job and be a cake and I walk off. Like, it is nice to make that money quick.
Yeah.
But if I don't challenge myself, I never get better. You know what I mean? And I tell my wife, like, sometimes I come home with an attitude. She's like, what's going on? I said, well, that key make didn't go the way I wanted to, or picking that lock didn't go the way I wanted to. And she's like, it's okay. It's going to be fine tomorrow. I was like, shush, just leave me alone. I go to the room. I sit there. I process. Think, what did I do wrong? What could have I done? And a lot of times, like, I psych myself out because a customer's staring at you over your shoulder, looking at you picking a lock. And then there's simple fundamentals that I didn't even do that I should have done. And I'm like, instead of turning this way on the lock when I was picking it, I should have turned the opposite way. And that was a case with a job out in Burns I went to. This guy was sitting out in the summer for about 50 minutes. When I get there, he's dripping with sweat. I give him a cup of water because I carry bottled waters with me. And I'm picking his lock, and I start panicking because normally a lock takes me 30 seconds to unlock. It's his deadbolt on his house. I can't do it. So I'm like, crap. I was like, do you have any other doors on the house? He's like, yeah, let's go to the back door. I go to the back door. It's a different kind of lock that I know that I can't pick, and I have to drill it. So I start drilling it. I'm drilling it. My bits start snapping the door.
No.
He's like, oh, don't worry. I have a whatever shop, and he brings me all his bits. I'm using his bits. They're breaking. And this is about 30, 40 minutes I'm on scene, and I'm sweating. I'm drenched. I'm fat. I look exhausted, And I said, all right, let's try this front door again. Let me try to pick it. And when I'm sitting there on my knees, I'm exhausted, I'm dripping. He's watching all the drips fall off my nose, my chin, everything. He's like, you need a towel or something? I'm like, no, I just need to focus. I'm sorry. Can you step back? And it hits me. I never tried to pick it the other way. So I put pressure the other way, the opposite way that it should go. And sure enough, within 5 seconds, it slips open. it doesn't unlock the door, but I have a tool that once you pick it the wrong way, it flips it so quick that the pins don't get to drop, and then I can reverse it.
Okay.
And I said, that's a rookie move. I should have known that right off the bat. Like, if it doesn't turn one way, turn it the other.
Absolutely.
But it's stuff like that. Like, I like to be challenged. I like to make the mistakes, and then I'm like, okay, I know next time I have to sit there, breathe. Sometimes you have to just let go of the lock, walk away for 5 minutes, come back with a fresh set of eyes, and I'm like, there it is.
We interrupt this episode with a message from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Mulberry Mill. Mulberry Mill is a 100,000 square foot warehouse located in the heart of downtown Dickson and is Dickson's only co-working space. Current tenants include 22 private offices, the station event venue, and the Tennessee Artesian Market. Future developments include a 10,000 square foot event space, an office space expansion, and custom build to suite tenant spaces ranging from 100 square feet to 10,000 square feet. If you would like to join the Mulberry Mill family of small business owners, remote workers, artists, and entrepreneurs, please contact Andy Truman at info@mulberrymilldixon.com or shoot her a text at 336-693-4311. Now let's get back to it and enjoy the rest of this episode. Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, come back, just breathe. And people don't get that, man. Like, they just get so tense and so drawn up about things, and they try to effort too much. Now, there's a difference between hard work, which is following your bliss, taking action when the universe tells you to take action, no matter how hard or how simple it may be. But it's called going with the flow. Everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. There's going to be rocks. There's going to be rapids. There's going to be waterfalls. There's going to be logs in the river. And to anybody that kayaks, they know. Like, there's going to be downed branches that you might have to go under. You may have to get out and drag your kayak around, which is not easy to get out of your kayak in rushing water and move it around. But you ultimately know that you're going to get around this hurdle and go. But some people just try to force things so much, and they don't, like you said, walk away for just a minute.
Reset, refocus.
Yeah, and that's where I have found real harmony and meditation every morning. I'll pretty much, I'm a night owl, so I stay up pretty late. I used to be one of these, like, get up early and grind. I do occasionally when I have to, but I put family and sleep in front of everything. Like, I'm pretty well scheduled about how I can knock some things out and be consistent about my actions and all that, during the time that it needs to be done. But I do, after everybody goes to bed, like, I'll kind of knock some things out and I'll stay up pretty late, midnight, 1 o'clock, something like that. But I do want to at least get 6, 7, if I can get 8 hours of sleep, I'm golden. But if I can get 6 hours, 7 hours of sleep, like, that's what I need. Anything less than that, I'm not functioning the way I need to function, and then that timeline that I try to put myself on is a moot point because I'm not performing, at the peak level that I need to be performing at. Not that I'm some Olympic athlete or a billionaire, but you can notice a difference. So, and my wife goes to bed, a little earlier than I do. She stays up, but she'll fall asleep earlier than I do, and but I'll wake up and immediately before any of the quote-unquote shit hits the fan.
Mm-hmm.
You've got kids in the morning, nobody's had coffee, you know how the morning rush goes of just like sometimes
chaos.
Feeling like you want to kill somebody. Exactly. Yeah. Chaos. It's just like, what is happening? Yeah. People saying and doing things that they don't mean or they don't normally do, and until everybody kind of gets woken up with coffee or however they wake up. I'll sit up. Wife's in the shower. She takes about a 10 to 15 minute shower, which is perfect. Sit up, put some pillows behind the wall in my bed, and just be half asleep but half awake and just breathe. And just realize that whatever's going to happen today, I tell the universe, I say, have fun with me today. Play with me today. Show me what I'm supposed to be shown today, good or bad. I just give it to me all. But guide me through it. You just kind of talk to yourself, there's just this self-talk in the morning that really just sets your day. Before coffee, before everything, before I even talk to the kids, like, I'm just not right mentally or physically if I just don't, because I know it's it's going to hit the fan at some point,
Of
right?
course.
Something always does. But to be able to not react like you normally would react to a problem or a situation is just huge, because it changes your whole day. I mean, it changes the results of everything as well, too.
I'm working on that as well. Like, I used to go to bed around the same time as you, 1 o'clock, wake up around 6, 7, do the school things with my wives, get the kids ready, pack their lunches, get them to school. But around the same time I met you at this networkers thing, like, that's the time I started finding myself changing my life. I've never read a book ever, really. Maybe 1 or 2 books in my whole life. I'm 36. But now I started reading self-improvement books.
Cool.
Just learning motivational books, like.
Any kind of specific book that you've liked so far?
4 Agreements is the first book I started with.
Bible. That's a Bible right there.
A lot of podcasts I listen to
Cool.
now. A lot of the things you sent me, like probably 2 out of the 3 you sent me, I think I listened to. I can't remember his name. But my biggest help, and a lot of people laugh because this is the fear factor guy, but Joe Rogan, to me, that guy is full of wisdom. That guy is far ahead of anybody.
Yep.
And I'll sit there, and if you just go on YouTube and you type in Joe Rogan motivation, and there's 10, 20, 30-minute videos, I've been going to sleep at 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night now, and I'm waking up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning. And I want that quiet time just so I can sit there and listen to one of those 10-minute or 30-minute clips, just listening to it and giving me the focus. Usually I listen to that on the way to Planet Fitness. Like,
cool.
I'm finally taking my life seriously. I've been showing up at Planet Fitness at 3:50, 4:15 in the morning, getting that all out of my system. Is there anybody there?
No
Surprisingly, there's a lot. There's probably 4 or 5.
I guess there's probably some shift workers and stuff that have probably just gotten off for really fucking crazy people like yourself.
No familiar faces. Just one, the girl from Go Post, Autumn.
Oh, yeah.
She's there at like 4:15, 4:20.
Okay.
But yeah, surprisingly, I thought I'd go there and have my own time, but there's a few people. But I like to get all that stuff done before anybody's even woken up. I get home around 6. My wife still hasn't woken up to wake the kids up, you know what I mean? And I already
feel feeling fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I've already read, I've already listened to Joe Rogan, I've already worked out, and I've already made, like, I'm a guy that has to write things down, but not really. I write it on my notepad. My notepad is my life on my phone, on my iPhone. I sit there and I put down the goals that I have to get done for today. And that's what I go out and try to set to do, And I feel like I've already had a full work day before anybody's woken up.
You're ahead of 90% of the people on the planet doing something like that. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable that people will accept this corporate grind, and I'm, more power to them. If that's what they want to do, there's no judgment. But, like, if you're not happy doing it, then quit doing it, man, and plan your own life instead of, living somebody else's plan.
Exactly. It blows my mind how many people, and I understand hard work and getting promoted and showing off and saying, hey, I worked hard for this position. But so many people think that that's what they're supposed to do, and it blows my mind. Like, just
climb that ladder, baby, and it's all going to be okay.
Men in Black with the little pen that they race. I feel like somebody walked in front of me, hit that pen, and said, wake up. Like, start working for yourself. Start doing what you want to do to make you happy, Yeah. I don't want to wait until I'm 65 to retire and then maybe live another 10 years, which is my retirement. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like, I want to, I'm 36 with the Lockout Pros and with this new thing. If it works out, I'm hoping by 40, 42, I can be taking monthly vacations. Cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just have accounts set aside for my kids and teach them at a young age, hey, don't make other people rich. I want them to still do what they want to do, but they also have to figure out something that makes money on their own.
And is it, but here's the caveat to a lot of that is, I believe it is absolutely necessary to be put through the ringer as soon as you can. Mm-hmm. So, obviously there's, and in today's world, I'm so oblivious, and I shouldn't be, but, there's people that are making tens of millions of dollars on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. A lot of them are females who are just walking around in bikinis, there is, or kids. There's a guy in town, he's a banker. His daughter is making $5,000+ a month she has taken some sort of, and I don't know if he listens to the podcast or not, but I golf with him every now and then. She has taken some sort of anime show and has pulled characters out of that show and has started her own YouTube channel telling backstories to a mainstream show that doesn't have side shows, it doesn't have spin-offs, whatever it may be. I don't think it does, but she's created her own. And YouTube has monetized her at the tune of $5,000 a month as a 14-year-old. Dude, I mean, you're making 60 plus grand a year as a 14-year-old doing YouTube videos. Yeah. So, the conversation of like the grind and all this stuff is, is kind of in the perception of who you're talking about. But is it really a grind though if you love what you're doing? Like,
no.
It is kind of a grind. It's a hustle, but I just keep falling back on it's going with the flow, and how much demand is that flow putting on your life? I'll stay up late. I'm a podcast behind. Like I had Zach from the Clement River Museum on last week, and I've started editing it. I've had to pick up a new sponsor. There's so many different caveats to it, but like I need to get the sponsor ad recorded before I can post it. So I try to stick to Mondays, but I had trivia Thursday, wedding rehearsal that I was DJing Friday, wedding Friday, Sunday bingo, and then I fully committed the rest of Sunday to my kids. So you kind of just you go in whatever direction life pulls you, and you've got to stay on somewhat of a schedule, but to be so rigid, is anarchy. I mean, it's tyranny for the most part. It's just you're gonna lose your mind, Yeah. And I think that back to the point is that I think that chaos. I know chaos is absolutely necessary to development of life, and I think that if you're stuck in one of the best things that my dad ever did for me was he builds warehouses for companies. Mm-hmm. And the best thing he ever did for me was stick me in a warehouse job, which was 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 100-degree weather. I was on a Segway with a pallet jack at a Starbucks warehouse, and I would get an order on this little scanner thing, and I'd have to go pick this order, driving up and down this warehouse. It was fun because I was just driving around all day picking stuff up, but like it was one of those things like, what happens after this? Because you don't know what you don't know, right?
Of course.
You don't know what you don't know, and try and fail and try and hate, try and love, whatever it may be. But everything kind of branched off of that. You was just like, okay, this is great. It was okay money, but it's not what I want to do. So check that off the box. Mm-hmm. Then you try something else. I worked at Slush Puppy. I was cleaning their machines. I was delivering their product. I was working in the warehouse. I was fixing the machines. This is great. It was a great opportunity throughout college, but hey, that's not what I want to do. Check that off the box, So I sold pest control after that too. Don't really like crawling under houses and looking for bugs. It was okay money. It was a sales job, but I don't want to do that. And then just things just kind of go. Like, I mean, hell, the list that you rattled off right at the beginning of the episode. Mm-hmm. You've done all these things. I mean, and you didn't even get into the fact that you were a DJ. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not even one of them. Yeah. Now that you just mentioned YouTube, like I asked my son, what does he think he's going to do? He's 9 years old. He keeps telling me he's going to be a professional gamer and he's going to have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I keep telling him, son, that's great if that's what you really want to do, but it's not likely. And maybe that's bad parental advice. I don't know. However, I was born a little too early because at 18 years old, I was sponsored by Bungie, who makes Halo, and I was I was sponsored and I was paid to play video games from 18 years old to 21 years old. And at the same exact time, I was also sponsored and paid to play paintball indoor. We call it speedball in New York. Like as soon as they say go, you just feel against your chest. You got shot 50 times. But so I got into the Halo thing because my friend was working at this new place, a new concept. And this was in 2003. This guy bought this warehouse, and he had 4 couches, 4 DLP TVs in an area. each station had a Nintendo GameCube, a PlayStation, an Xbox, and a wall full of games. And you paid per hour to go play whatever games you want. Take it off the wall, they give it to you, go play it. But everybody there was 20 stations. Everybody there was playing this game that I've never seen before called Halo 1. And I'm familiar with first-person shooting games because, like, I'm in the GoldenEye age where on N64 you play first-person shooter, and I was good at that. So I'm watching these kids play, and I was like, wow, this is cool. So I started hanging out there every weekend. Within, like, 2 or 3 weeks, I'm smoking all these guys that have been playing there since Halo came out. And they're like, man, how long you been playing? I'm like, like 3 weeks.
I bet they're like...
Yeah, they're like, no, you're lying. I'm like, no, I'm dead serious. I've never seen this game. So then... everybody from those 20 stations would be circling my couch watching me play all these people. It was LAN parties. Everybody's connected.
What does LAN mean?
LAN means you're taking an Ethernet cable, plugging it from one Xbox to another,
So
instead of using...
you're daisy chaining the entire thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Instead of going onto a server online and playing with each other, you're daisy chaining Xboxes in person in one place. So 4 Xboxes at a time, which is 4 players on each box. So 16 players in a game. And everybody's at my couch watching me play. And the owner of the store would notice this every week, that people are paying, the parents are paying for the kids to stay there all night, but the kids aren't playing. They're watching me.
Just watching.
So he was like, Rick, I have an opportunity for you. I want you to hand out flyers to say, come to this place. This is a new place. And I want you to host Halo tournaments. I was like, I don't know what that means. He goes, just get a competition together, market it, and offer a cash prize, like people pay at the door, and there's a cash prize at the end, and you get a cut of whoever you bring in. I was like, all right. So I did it. This is in Long Island, New York. I had people from New Jersey, Maryland, Massachusetts, Connecticut, all coming once a month, like 500 people. And I would be in the top 3 teams playing. And everybody, again, would be around my couch. So I'm hosting the event, I'm playing in the event, and I'm winning the prize. So people were like, man, this is not fair, you know what I mean? Uh-huh. Halo 2 came out about the time that I was getting successful at these things. Halo 2, they introduced 2 guns instead of 1, which is a whole different concept. I was a little worse at it, but still really good. Halo 3 came out another year or 2 later, and that's when I gave up. And I was playing paintball. I fell into that by mistake as well. You know, I just went there, and I guess my video game knowledge, you know, even a big guy like me was able... The good thing about indoor compared to playing in the woods is it's slick. So a big guy like me, as soon as I take those first few steps, my momentum makes me slide across the floor.
Okay.
So I would slide behind all these inflatables and have so much momentum that I was already halfway across the field and everybody's just starting. So I guess that was my advantage, and I got paid to do that too. I got free paintball guns, free paintball markers, or free paintballs, free equipment, free clothing. And that's what I did as well.
Just being good at what you do.
Yeah, and I took that all for granted because I thought that was what everybody got. It came easy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I come from a family where things were just
going with the
handed to you.
flow, man, and that's it.
Imagine if that was today. So because of what you're saying about YouTube and endorsements and monetize things, my wife, when she's not doing something with me, she's on her phone on TikTok or Facebook. Mm-hmm. And after months and months of hearing all these TikTok videos and trends, I'm like, can you please stop wasting your time on that thing? I took her phone from her, started scrolling. I'm like, whoa, TikTok is awesome.
Yeah, it's freaking badass, dude.
I created my own TikTok account, and I was like, all right, let me make a video. My first video gets 300,000 views.
Oh, my God.
And then it was me showing how fast you can unlock a car and make money. But the way that I do it is unconventional. I picked the lock instead of using an airbag to inflate it and reach in.
Put the thing in there. Yeah.
Correct. So I picked the lock, and I picked the lock on a Dodge Ram in probably like 10 seconds. And I said, easy money, quick and easy, you know what I mean? Whatever. Mm-hmm. All these views, people saying it's fake. So all those trolls, like I got fueled up, and I was like, all right, I'll reply to you. I'll reply to you. I'll reply to you. All those replies, each one of those replies was getting 500,000 views at this point now. So my first 3 videos, I've probably got 1.5 million views.
Oh, my God.
But then I was getting so, overwhelmed because I replied to every single comment. People were saying, man, what a douchebag the cameraman is. It's my 6-year-old daughter holding the camera. Or it's my 9-year-old son holding the camera. I'm like, hey, asshole, that's my 9-year-old son. And they're like, oh.
Oh.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Sorry, I just felt like being a dick right now. Yeah.
So I just didn't get it. But, my wife was like, you know why you're being successful on TikTok? Is because you're letting them fuel you. Mm-hmm. And when you talk, your tone, it sounds like you're being like an asshole back. So then I started toning it down and being nicer. And now when I'm nice and trying to do instructional videos instead of calling people out, like I have 1,000 views on my videos. I just lost the momentum on that.
Still 1,000 is pretty damn good, man.
Every video I put up gets at least 1,200 views.
That's amazing.
But I found out once you get to 10,000 followers, you get 4 cents per view.
Okay.
So I'm doing the math in my head, man, 450,000 views times 4 cents, that's $19,000 I could have got off that video.
Mm-hmm.
So my first day, I had 5,000 followers.
Wow.
And now I'm at like 7,000 followers.
Yes.
I can't get to that 10,000. Like I've been trying for 2-3 months. I'm probably 30 videos in. So I lost it.
No, you didn't. TikTok algorithms is by far, and this isn't just from user experience. This is from computer nerds. No offense meant there, but that their algorithm is the best social media algorithm that has ever been created. Mm-hmm. Fucking period, dude. Which I can see. Like, there'll be times when I'm printing something. It's like 20 pages. So I'll take that time and just scroll through, and you're like, you just get sucked into this rabbit hole of, and I try to mess with the algorithm to where it's like, obviously they'll feed you stuff that you may or may not want, but like some of the stuff that is not beneficial to me mentally, I try to go through as quick as I can. I mean, obviously I love the funny dog videos and the funny cat videos, but like,
not the thirst traps.
Yeah.
I just found out what that is, by the way. My wife is like, why are you watching thirst traps? I'm like, huh?
Oh, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't know what a thirst trap was, but now I do.
Yes, but there's money to be made, and you haven't lost it. But the way their algorithms work is you've kind of got to, I don't know, you just got to shift things a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe we could think of something to throw you back out there. Maybe get you like a real famous client or something, that's locked out of their house.
I think it also has to do with your contacts in your phone because
I'm not surprised.
I'm also a baseball coach at Charlotte Ballpark.
Okay.
2 or 3 days after that first 2 videos, I have kids coming up to me and they're like, "Are you Lockpick Rick?" I'm like, "Huh?" And they're like, "Yeah, you pick locks." I'm like, "How do you know that name?" Like, because my company's Lockout Pros, and I want to differentiate from my TikTok because really I'm talking shit on there.
Sure.
Trying to seem like I'm cooler than I am and saying how quick you can make money just to get the attention. But I don't want them to think that that's my name and then search me on Google and leave a bad review because I'm being an asshole on there.
Sure.
But they're like, "Yeah, you're Lockpicker." I'm like, "How do you know?" They're like, "You came up on my For You page." I'm like, "Huh?" And then Murphy CB, I go there almost every night. And probably about a month ago, this kid that works there that I see all the time, his name's Drew. And I'm getting ice cream or something. And I hear, "Yo, Lockpick Rick." I'm like, way. And I turn around and I said, "Yo, how do you know that name?" He goes, "Oh, I follow you on Instagram." I said, "That's funny because my Instagram is Lockout Pros, not Lockpick Rick." He goes, "Well, I follow you on TikTok." And I was like, how does everybody in my community know who I am? Like, I shouldn't have showed my face. You know what I mean?
Whatever, though. Isn't that crazy?
But the first thing I said to him was, "Hey, that's just for views and ignore everything I say on there." He's like, no, my dad loves you. My dad wants to hire you to make a key for my sister's car. Like, we love watching your videos. Like, they're awesome. And I'm like, Jesus, this has to do with the context, I think, or like friends of friends of friends.
Geo-fencing of sorts in your local area kind of thing. Huh.
And I just got one more call the other day, right here, actually right up the road here, over by Dickson High School. A guy said, "Hey, can you make me a key to a 2002 Maxima?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, "Did the keys match up, like the door and the ignition, the same key? Because most cars match up, and if they don't match, I can't really make it for you." He's like, "No, it doesn't. It's 2 separate keys." I was like, I can't really do that, man. That's hard to pick the ignition and figure out the key from the ignition. And he's like, "I watch you on TikTok. Can't you do anything?" And I said, "What?" And then I said, "Do you know anybody?" He's like, "No, I watch you on TikTok." And I was like, "You know what? I'll come there, and if I can't make the key, I won't charge you."
Just going to give it a shot.
I went there, I made the key. Then he was filming me, and he's like, "This guy's legit."
That's so awesome. Congratulations.
So, like I said, I think it has to do with it's something. It's an algorithm. It's a geofence. It's something. It has to do with your contacts. Like,
oh, man. That's crazy. And I'm comfortable behind a mic. I'm comfortable in front of people. I'm comfortable getting out of my comfort zone. And not that I'm uncomfortable doing social media stuff. Mm-hmm. I just don't make the time for it.
Yeah.
You're
a busy guy.
I'm all like what this is a gamer term, right? Maybe IRL,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Something racing league.
No. No. In real life.
Okay.
Maybe something I don't know. In real life,
Okay.
like
I would never use that term.
thank you. Thank you for that. In real life. So I'm all about like making an impact IRL, you know, just but I've got so many people. Stephanie Bilderback. I'll talk about her every episode almost because she's
awesome.
She's so awesome, and she's on my ass about everything. About like, okay, fine, I'll do this, but I don't. And so like I'm just because it takes time, you know. I mean, it takes a significant amount of time when I could be making progress IRL. You know, I'm having to sit there and photo edit photos to make them look good. I'm having to hashtag everything. Like, I just don't want to do it at all. So I'm calling out Dickson. Like, if there's anybody that I'll pay you too. Like, if there's anybody that wants to do that for me, like if I can just be me and like, sure, I'll take the pictures, I'll take the videos, but if I can just send them to you and they do it, great. That would be beneficial for everybody because then I don't have to take the time to do it. But it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, it is 1,000% necessary to do it because billboards are expensive and they don't have the impact, you know. Nobody, unless it's a sport or some sort, very few people will watch actual TV anymore. I mean, it's Amazon, it's Hulu, it's Netflix, it's, you know.
Pirating.
Yeah, it's YouTube, it's whatever. You know, and the radio, like I was suffering. I forgot my phone at my house and had to and was driving my daughter to school in Nashville and did not have my phone. I had to listen to the radio. It was awful. Like the music that was coming out, the country music. I'm an okay country music fan.
Yeah.
I do like some old school rock and roll. You know, I like certain types of rap, not necessarily the new rap too much.
Not me either.
Yeah,
DJ.
Yeah. And it's just all repetitive, and it's all about killing people and dealing drugs and you know, bitches, you know, whatever. Hoes, you know,
Just man, and it's mumbling
things
now.
that I can't even relate with.
Yeah.
And so you know, it's typical morning talk show type stuff that's silly. So I listened to the Bobby Bones and that was enough, but you know, I Bluetooth. So that's what I'm saying is that like everybody is all up on this instant gratification thing. They don't want to have to sift and sort through the BS. But it all flows back to attention.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you watch Grant Cardone, whatever anybody may think about him, like that's what he does, man. I mean, it's just straight attention.
He's like LeVar Ball. You know who LeVar Ball? He's like the Ball brothers, Lonzo Ball from the Lakers.
Yeah.
Like an attention whore, but a father, you know, saying that his sons can beat Michael Jordan or they will be on the Lakers. Grant Cardone, meanwhile, the knowledge that he has is very important. To me, sometimes he comes off as full of shit.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
He's being sued right now for swindling investors. So
yeah,
you know
I mean, but he still. Did you ever watch that show, Undercover Billionaire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he
knows
was
what
able to
he's
do
doing.
5.9 or 5.8 billion in 90 days, like evaluation. So he knows something. You know what I mean?
Once you get to that point, you can't. It's like riding a bike. Like you can get from point A to point Z. You know, once you've gotten there, but you know, you've got to be cautious too because there's so many people. It's this, you know, and I've got a bad taste in my mouth on this like courses business. I paid for Grant stuff for like a year.
10x.
I paid for, I guess that's what it was. It was, you know, no, it was Cardone U.
Oh, Cardone.
Yeah. So I paid for Cardone U at, you know, $100 a month for 12 months, whatever it was. And it was okay, you know, like, but it just didn't really, it didn't tug my heartstrings. And, you know, and he would say, you're quit being a pussy, you know, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But that's not how I wanted to go about things. You know, I didn't vibe with that situation. And there's so much stuff out there like that of just these guys that have quote unquote, you know, been there, done that. And they sell these courses.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you know, if people want my help, I would feel bad, charging, which I would at some point, like, but it would be a mutual agreement of like, how much can you afford and how much time are you demanding of my time? You know, I'm not trying to just like pump out courses, you know, like this entertainment company is Your Vibes Entertainment, an entertainment and podcast production company is kind of the quote unquote of it, you know, no work, you know, will work while you play kind of thing. Like that's kind of the vibe I'm in. But if anybody, you know, such as yourself, like you said, you just went to Give Me Five and bought some podcast equipment. What is that going to be about, by the way?
You know, my wife has been throwing stuff out there saying, like, if anybody ever heard our private conversations and the crazy mentality that you have about life, because, like, me, I'm like a simulation. I feel like I'm
the
part
world
of the
is a simulation, by the way.
Correct.
Yeah.
But she's like diehard, like into religion, and so one of the things, like when we first started dating, was like she's like, "Hey, I can't date anybody that doesn't have faith." I was like, "Oh yeah, I have faith." I didn't tell her what my faith was in.
Sure.
Like I think of something else other than her.
Sure.
And now years later, she feels duped. But like I tell her my crazy scenarios of how I think the actual life works and the world works. And
what is that?
That's diving into the rabbit hole. There's so many different ways I can look at this.
That could be podcast number 2.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you might have to come on my podcast for that one.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
well, my faith is not mainstream. Mm-hmm. I believe God is found from within.
Okay.
And whatever God's source may be, you know, I believe it's just a central energy, a central light, a central energy source. And that everything that we see and interact with, and every person in the entire world, including Mother Gaia, which is quote unquote Earth, is a living being within itself, and it is just one of the infinite expressions of God's source. I don't believe you have to go to church to find God. I don't believe that anything other than, you know, quote unquote, the 10 Commandments of sorts. I think the 10 Commandments are an energetically driven vibrational system of rules that one must follow in order to ascend to the next dimension, you know. And it's that sounds crazy to a lot of people, but there's a lot of books. There's a lot of Mayan scripture. There's a lot of Egyptian scripture out there. There's a lot of ancient Chinese, Buddhism, Muslim scripture out there that bodes to that. And I just don't think anybody should judge anybody for how they live their life.
Of course.
You know? Especially spiritually.
I don't think that's crazy at all.
It's so tender. Spirituality is so tender.
Yeah.
It's so tender, and it's so compartmentalized sometimes, which is not at all how God intended it to be. In every book of every religion, it shouldn't be what's the word I just said?
Compartmentalized. I can't do it.
You know what I'm compartmentalized. Yes. So, you know, I mean, in this town specifically, it's a small town, but it's growing, you know, and that kind of wave of people is growing older. And then there's people like us and a lot of the downtown business owners, and a lot of kind of the C-level suite people in the banks and the insurance industries, and even in the government departments that are younger, that are thinking in more of these, you know, not necessarily quote unquote liberal, progressive definition, but they're progressive about life in general, and they're accepting of the way that people are and the things that people do, and you know, we could get into a whole kind of conversation about racism and religious bias and things like that. But I don't think that it's as prominent as we're told it is. You know, I'm sure it's out there. I mean, are you seeing it?
Yeah, I mean, I see all that stuff too. And like, I grew up Roman Catholic, you know, going to church.
Me
and
too.
Confessing my sins and all that, and that got old. Like when I was in my teenage, like 14, 15, I was like,
I don't need to tell this guy that.
Yeah, I was like, this is a little weird. So I stopped, you know, and I'll dive a little into that rabbit hole. it wasn't until years later, after depression and being let down by family members and finding my own self, that I'm like, man, there's something bigger to life. One of my favorite movies or favorite trilogies ever is The Matrix. And they're coming out with a fourth one now, by the way. But
so pumped about that.
Yes, me too. And
let's set a date. We're going to go see that in theaters together.
Absolutely.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Let's do it. And there's lots of stuff you don't talk about just because some people are so deep down that they in their beliefs and they'll fight you if you're different than them. And religion's one of them, gun rights and stuff. That's another one. But we're in a Bible Belt, so I feel like the odds are against me. And that's why I try not to talk about stuff like that. But just a small thing of what I believe is, I'm not saying I'm an atheist. I'm agnostic, which means I believe in something higher that's out there. And our souls are energy. Energy has to go somewhere.
Absolutely. We are a spiritual being having a human experience.
Yes.
Our bodies are meat suits.
So why I try to mess with my wife and give her all these different possibilities of how the world works is, I tell her, think of Earth as a petri dish. Okay? And there's a lab out there with scientists, which might be the universe, the lab, and God might be the actual scientist running this experiment. And we're in a petri dish, and they're watching us evolve and seeing this time around how fast we destroy ourselves. And years in our time might be seconds in their time. And who knows? You want to go even further? I said, when UFOs come to Earth, that might be the scientists coming to do a status report. They're looking at us and saying, hey, look how far they've gone in this time. Oh, cool. All right, let's fly back. That's what I tell her. She starts getting really mad at me, But that's just one way to do it. How do you know that we're not a virus on a dog's ass? Like a zit.
Yep, absolutely, dude. Like, it's, the movie Men in Black, I mean, you take that cat's solar system necklace and you expound upon that kind of deal, man. And the Matrix, if someone, I've done it, you've probably done it, most likely, were to watch the Matrix and look at it as a documentary and not a movie.
Yeah.
Watch Star Wars as a documentary and not a movie. Watch Star Trek. Watch any sort of sci-fi type thriller as a just in the perception of a documentary and not an actual Hollywood movie. It changes the way you think about a lot of things because a lot of the messages being portrayed in that can be backed up for the most part with government documentation. And when you said look at Earth as a petri dish, is the same way I look at it, man. I mean, it's so you go back all the way back, man, to the Anunnaki. You go back to gene splicing. People write off hieroglyphics and they write off Mayan cave drawings. They write off how specific that those people had to be about building their temples and their pyramids. Like, it is unfathomable that people that we write off as people that were stabbing deer and just ripping meat and cooking meat, and that's all they knew. That's all they knew was just survival. There was no higher intelligence involved. Which is completely wrong.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
They're
more intelligent than us right now.
Yes. We've devolved since that point in time. To the point almost to where, like, Atlantis was 100% real. And full disclosure, I think Antarctica, from the research I've done, is Atlantis. And there was a pole shift that shoved it from, it used to be where Antarctica or where Australia was, and there was a pole shift and it shoved it down to the South Pole and immediately froze because they're doing core drill samples to where it was once a lush green environment. And there's random stuff that they found that I could go way off some rabbit holes, but this world is not as we expect it to be, or as that we've taught. Nikola Tesla proved everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. No matter what. No matter what. Period. Whether it be a rock, whether it be this table, and if one said person could match the energy of any quote-unquote material object, which there's more empty space than there is actual matter, they could push their hand through it. They could walk through walls. There's government documents. The gateway process. Like, you could walk through a wall and they've proved it. It's been disclosed. Like, and that just brings into the whole picture of, what is it? What's going on? I mean, obviously the mainstream media has finally accepted this UAP, UFO, whatever narrative, but they're trying to write it off as, I'm a firm believer, as it's not this Independence Day narrative as to where it's a hostile environment. If they wanted to take over the earth, they would have done it already, man.
They're not trying to hide from us.
No. They would have taken it over. They would have destroyed everything they wanted to destroy and take it over. Their technologies are millions of years more advanced than we could ever imagine. And you know what? Is that the atomic bomb, so in the 40s and the 50s, is what set all that off. Is because splitting of the atom has a scalar wave effect. Scalar waves are faster than the speed of light. And once you do that, you break through the time-space dimension. And those scalar waves of ripping an atom in half and having this massive explosion may have an effect, a fallout of sorts, on this Earth, Mother Gaia planet that we have. But it also has an effect throughout the universe. And so once you have, Robert Oppenheimer explode the first atomic bomb, he quoted the Bhagavad Gita saying, I am, oh man, I'm just spacing out. I am, hold on, I'll find it. But that's when the UFOs started to show up, because then you had Roswell, you had Area 51, and then you had several other that came about at that point, and they have just increased at that point.
Especially now with all the Navy pilots videos and stuff, and they can't explain it, and the Pentagon and all these people are saying, we can't explain it, this might be real. Have you seen all of the Bob Lazar stuff on Netflix and stuff? Such phenomenal input and stuff, And
Bob
people say
Lazar,
that's
man.
Conspiracy theorists, but, I mean...
Bob Lazar is a character, dude.
Yeah.
And I try to, hold on, I'm looking this up. I am death, the destroyer of worlds. What is it? Let's see. Now I become death, the destroyer of worlds, was his quote of after the atomic bomb went off, which is from the Bhagavad Gita. And if you read the Bhagavad Gita, it's the same description. Like, that is the atomic weapon was ultimately the downfall of that time period, is because you go into this hate narrative, into this division narrative, this destruction narrative. Like, even the paintings and the illustrations of the Bhagavad Gita, like, show this massive fucking bomb going off, man. Like, he knew what was going on. And it's... Things are not as they seem, Rick.
Not at all.
Not at all. And honestly...
if anybody knows, it's a New Yorker. 9/11 is not what it seems.
No, man. And that's lower level compared to like why that happened the way it happened. You know, there's so much that goes into that. Love you, dude. This is great. And honestly, like, this is these types of conversations are by far the number one reason I started this podcast, is because I started realizing all this stuff. I wanted to talk to some people. I wanted to get a foundation built. I wanted to get a following built. I wanted to have a communication platform of sorts for people to express how they feel about life, you know, and just let them be open with no judgment. And there's been some real deep conversations that I've had on here, and unfortunately, you know, the views are not where they need to be, but these are the type of conversations that we need to be having on here, and I hope to continue them.
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely.
I'm definitely looking for round 2. And
cool. Yeah, and you've got your
about...
thing going, and I think that grab that off the table. Yeah, it's gonna cause some interference on it. Yeah, you're good. I think that this is where this is going. Is that I think there's a lot of people. The Mayan calendar ended in quote unquote 2012, but coincidentally, that's when we went into the age of Aquarius, which is when people start waking up from a third dimensional aspect of life, which is fear and division, and doubt and all those types of emotions, and transferring into the fourth and fifth dimension, which is hope and love and unity and all those things. And so I think we can see that there's a narrative going on right now. There's a huge split as far as how everybody feels politically and socioeconomically and all that. But I think that there's a pretty heavy weight on unity right now on the earth, and I think that it's going in the right direction. It may not seem like it from the mainstream narrative, but talking to people like you and other people around town, I don't think it's as drastic as it seems.
If you just turn off the news and stop watching it, life will be better.
Just live your life, man. Right?
Exactly.
Right? Cool. Well, I've had a good conversation with you.
So have I.
Absolutely. This has been an hour and 23 minutes.
Woo.
Flew by, didn't it?
Who knew?
Who knew?
I didn't know I had that much to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm a quiet person.
Everybody's got something to talk about,
of course.
And that's why I call it Your Vibes, because it's the guest show, and I'm just here to pull the story out. And
awesome.
This has been an amazing episode. So thank you for the conversation.
Absolutely.
I'll give you your platform to shout your socials out.
Yeah. Lockout Pros TN for Tennessee, Facebook, Instagram, Lockpick Rick, TikTok. Follow me. Get me to that 10K so I can get paid.
Yeah, get Rick to the 10K. Yeah, like and share his videos. Get him up there. That's where he's wanting to go.
That's it.
Yeah, he gets called out at the Charlotte CB. Lockpick Rick.
That's me.
I love it. You need to put that a little bumper sticker on the back of your car.
I don't know yet. I'm not sure if I want to embrace it or not. It's still just a alter ego,
Alter ego. It's not IRL, is it?
No, not at all.
That's so silly. All right. Cool. I'm good if you're good.
I'm good, man. This has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, we'll I'll hop on your podcast whenever you want to. We'll have some good conversations, and I'm building a studio out, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah, above Pumphrey's. And so.
Are you really?
Yep, me and Jimmy. And then I've actually had a couple other people approach me about. Nobody listens this far in the episode. I don't care. I'll just go ahead and say it. About doing like a.
I listened this far into the episode.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for your support. I think that we're going to do kind of a drunken podcast. So we're going to pregame for like an hour or so before, and then have the conversation that started at about an hour and 10 minutes in is what we're going to have. It's just like life and, experiences and running a business and life and family, and just less structured and very loose and light. And so in a legitimate official soundproof podcast studio that I'll bring my equipment to, and Jimmy's going to get some equipment, and so we could have 3 or 4 or 5 people around the table just hanging out.
Give me a 5 has some acoustic foam for the walls.
Yeah.
I saw some in the bins. You can get some.
They do?
They have like 3 packs.
Right now?
Right now. I saw some yesterday. They're closed right now.
Yeah, but I'm definitely going to go tomorrow.
Yeah, there was some.
Okay, cool.
Well,
that's a great spot.
I
do see people lined up out there.
I get there at 6 a.m. No, I get there at 5:50. At 6 o'clock, they start handing you your numbers. If you can get there by 6, you'll probably be within the first 15 people to go in. Then you can go home, do whatever you want, or go eat breakfast, come back at 8, and that's your number to get in.
So they open at 8?
They open at 8, but they start giving out numbers at 6.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, that first 15 people in there,
they get all the good stuff.
I fill up 2 shopping bags in the first 5 minutes. And then you're only allowed to carry 2 bags. So then I run to my car, pay for it, come back in, do it again. But within that first 5-10 minutes is when you get the good stuff.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Saturday morning is really the only day that's worth it.
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, 6 a.m. It's on my Google Calendar every Saturday, 6 a.m. Give me a 5. I swear to God. And I change my business hours to revolve around that, just because there's good finds, man.
Yeah.
Whether I keep it or I resell it. Like the first time I went in there, I found like this little brown box, and you have to read the sticker, like the SKU, and it said OLED. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a gun light. I open the box, I look in it. Sure enough, it's a laser and OLED, like 4,500 lumens.
Whoa!
I pay $5 for it. I sell it on eBay the next day for $115.
Whoa!
Like, it sold immediately.
I'm gonna have to start doing morning dates.
That's
with
just a
you.
side hustle. You know what I mean? Like,
cool.
there's some good finds there. And like I said, I didn't plan on getting a podcasting, but my wife mentioned it, and it comes with everything, the mic, everything.
Cool.
For $5, you can't beat it. And as the days go on during the week, it goes down all the way to 25 cents for everything in the store.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find some good stuff.
Okay.
I'm fat, but you're skinny. You can find clothes, workout clothes for 25 cents. I can't find my size in there. There's some good stuff there. I fully support that place. Go there.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like another thing I'm going to
Yes,
have
sir.
to get into. All right. Cool. All right. Thank you guys for listening. I sure would love it if you would like and subscribe and tell your friends and tell your family and, just support the podcast. Don't get paid too terribly much to do this each month, but I do it because I love it. And I love people like Rick and the other guests that I've had on here that just have, hell, me and Rick bumped in at a networking thing at T. Armstrong's office, and he started coming to my networking group, and here we are.
Yeah.
Doing a podcast.
That event changed my
Drinking
life.
Jameson and Mick Ultra.
That's it.
Having a blast.
Best time ever.
Best time ever.
We
All
have
right.
DDs, don't worry.
Yeah, we do. I think that this is going to end up being a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you getting your podcast off the ground, and I'll support you in whatever way you need.
I appreciate it. Thank
Cool.
you very much.
All right, like, subscribe, yourvibespodcast.com, at Your Vibes Podcast on every social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. TikTok is subpar at the moment, but YouTube, absolutely, yep. Stitcher, Google, Apple, Anchor, all those things. So until next time, love you guys. Peace. Thanks again to Mulberry Mill for sponsoring this episode. If you are looking for an office or a creative space, or are someone looking for a beautiful and local event venue, please contact Andy Truman at info@mulberrymilldixon.com or shoot her a text at 336-693-4311. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode, please reach out to me directly via email at yourvibespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends.